Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Jamal from Fantasy Life, and today I bring you the Ion breakdown. So basically Ion is more of the balance type Titan. He has a fairly decent mobility to him. He also has a fairly decent health. His biggest downside is actually his damage. His damage isn't very high, and I'll show you that right now. So on the bottom right is the stats for Ion. So you have just a 1-star damage, you have his 2-star health, and a 2-star mobility, which means that he's basically balanced, with the exception that his damage is a little bit less than average. He's a great Titan to start off with because it kind of gives you a feel of what direction you want to go with your Titan, whether you want to do a more slow, heavy damage type Titan or a more quicker, less damage type Titan, and he's good for that. So for Ion, he has a lot of advantages, but he also has a lot of disadvantages. So for example, he has a splitter rifle, which is basically a energy based rifle which shoots very fast. It's basically an automatic energy rifle. The downside is the longer you hold down on this particular rifle, the more energy it takes from your particular Titan, and when it takes your energy, it then takes away from your ability to use some of your other moves like the laser shots, the vortex shield, and the tripwire, which makes it basically a double-edged sword. It's a very quick firing assault rifle with not a lot of damage. But the other thing too, if you're not doing it in burst shots, you're going to be draining your own energy, which means when you do need to use the tripwire in certain situations, or you do need to use the laser shot in certain situations, or even the vortex shield in certain situations, you won't be able to. Now the vortex shield is a little different because you will be able to still use the vortex shield, it just won't last nowhere near as long, and that actually poses a big problem, and I highly recommend Respawn to change that. Let us use the splitter rifle without hindering any of the other abilities, because in some of the other Titans that doesn't happen. Some of the other Titans you can shoot your rifle as much as you want and it doesn't hinder your ability to use some of your other moves. So in terms of his best loadout, what I would highly recommend for Ion, and this is based on a game mode kind of perspective and your particular play style, I particularly recommend going with the turbo engine and giving yourself that extra dash. Now as of right now, Ion does have 1 dash, so by adding this you're giving yourself a second dash, and that helps because it gives him the mobility advantage over other Titans like Scorch and Legion, which are a lot slower but do heavy damage. It gives Ion that mobility advantage. But then you also have Titans like Tone, which is a more balanced kind of Titan, and it gives him a slight edge over a Titan like Tone, which is really similar to Ion. Now in terms of Titans like North Star or Ronin, it doesn't really give you much of a ability, but it'll let you be able to dance with them a little bit longer, a little bit faster. The benefit of having Ion against a North Star and a Ronin is that Ion does have slightly more health than those two Titans, and can dish out about the same amount of damage those two Titans do. Now if you amp up his mobility, he'll be able to withstand more damage, and in theory you'll be able to basically kind of outlast both of those Titans if you were to go on a one-on-one fight with those particular Titans. Next up, again, most of these kits are based on your particular preference. This is just my preference, and what I've had the best success with is you have this, which is pretty good, and what that does is you can hold down the trigger, and if by some miracle you get a critical shot on a particular Titan, it'll replenish your energy a little bit to where it'll allow you to use like your tripwires and laser cannon and vortex shield longer. The tripwire is also pretty good because it doesn't use any energy, so you can deploy that and don't have to worry about using your energy. And then the laser core lasting longer is also pretty good, but the problem is if you're going to use this particular kit, then I highly recommend going with the overcore, because you'll be able to get that faster, and by getting that faster then you'll be able to use it longer. If you're not using that overcore, then I don't recommend the Grand Canyon. What I do recommend is the vortex amplifier. Now this is very, very useful. So you're already giving yourself the mobility. Now this is going to help you give yourself the defense. And what this does is it increases the vortex shield's return damage output by 20%. So when you're going up a Titan that's shooting a lot of bullets at you, like a Legion or somebody that's going to shoot tons of bullets at you, or even a tone which is going to shoot a bunch of rockets at you, you can catch those rockets and then deflect it back at them. Now this is going to do a 20% extra damage to that particular Titan, which is going to help you. When you combine that with your mobility, you're basically blocking all of their shots from hitting you, then you're returning that for an extra 20% damage, and then you have your mobility to kind of move and dodge out the way. So these two in combination works very well. And then, I mean, this is up to you, depends on your particular play style as well. I'm going with the warp core because I want them down and into action as quickly as possible. Now let's see some particular gameplay in regards to how to implement Ion. Maybe Titan versus Titan now. Show you how awesome Ion can be if you play with him right. What I highly recommend is when you're playing with Ion to first, before you even shoot his regular gun, use his other abilities first, because when you use his other abilities, it doesn't affect his pulse rifle, but if you use your pulse rifle first, it affects your other abilities. So for example, you just see me use my other abilities, right? Now I'm gonna wait. Now all my abilities are back. I'm gonna use my pulse rifle. So now after exhausting my pulse rifle, I can't use my laser, I can't use my tripwires. I can use my vortex, but it doesn't last very long. So I highly recommend when you first going into battle with Ion to first use your other abilities. Use that laser first. Use the tripwires. Use that mobility. Get out of there. Oh, the money is open. I gotta go deposit this cocoa because I'm in love with it. I'm in love with the cocoa. I got baking soda. I got baking soda. All right, so the good thing about Ion too is you can attack from a distance with Ion. Bye bye, baby. Ha 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 ha! Dang, he got me. The good thing about Ion 2 is you don't have to get up close and personal. If you want to attack from the distance, you can do that with Ion because his attacks don't have like a drop-off damage. Like some never mind, I'm number 3. I thought I was doing a little better than that. Oh well. So where is the target coming in? Shouldn't there be 2 of them this round? We got that one. There goes the second one. They both pretty far away. I'll go after this one. I another buddy Titan over here. So the point about this Titan is shooting from distance and using your mobility to avoid dangers, because you don't take a lot of, you don't deal a lot of damage, first of all, and you don't have the highest health. So there are Titans out there that's going to deal more damage than you. And again, if possible, utilize your tacticals first before using your pulse cannon, because what happens is once you use your pulse cannon, you're going to void your ability to use some of those other abilities. Keep a distance, stay mobile, try not to lock yourself into one spot. Your best bet is to stay in a fairly open spot where you can hide and duck behind covers, because for you guys who don't know, Titans can actually crouch, so this is definitely going to help out a lot. Let's go deposit this money. Oh snap, we're losing. I gotta do more. I gotta be a better role model to my people. Right. Wait, no, don't get, move. So it's another enemy Titan somewhere around here. There we go. Oh, that's a tone. That is a tone. So he uses Tone's bullets against them. He's gonna try to go around. I guess he's trying to flank me.
Remnant fleet reinforcements inbound.
Oh. Dang, I'm getting jumped here. I didn't realize there was another Titan there. They flanked me. Down. As you can see, he has a lot of double-edged sword to his particular gameplay, because what I would highly recommend is to use the laser shot as well as the vortex, well, not so much the vortex, but the tripwire before you actually start using your splitter gun, because for whatever reason, when you use your splitter gun, you're gonna avoid the ability to use the tripwire and the laser shot. So you have to be really smart at how you use it, because you can end up really messing up yourself. So you want to throw down that tripwire first to kind of barricade yourself from any enemy pilots or Titans running your particular way, but then you also want to get in that first shot with the laser to do a decent amount of damage, and then start going in with the splitter rifle. You want to do him from a mid to long range so that you can have that ability to move in and out of danger once you see the danger coming towards you. You want to be fairly mobile with this particular Titan, because he's not going to be able to take a lot of hits. His health is only about halfway. He doesn't have the most health in the game. Doesn't have the least either, but he doesn't have the most health. But he doesn't also deal the most damage. So it's gonna be a fairly long and drawn out battle, whichever battle you have with this particular Titan, especially if you're going against a heavy hitter like Scorch or Legion. And even another Tone. You're gonna have a long and drawn out battle, so it's really good to have that mobility edge over those particular Titans. And that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys learned something. If you did, drop that like. If you didn't, hit that dislike. If you want to talk more about Ion and how you think he should be played, leave it in the comments below. And remember, your life is a fantasy.